to this session for strategy for preparing for Indian Forest Services in the remaining 50 days, right? So like today is October 1 and our mains examination is scheduled from 24th of November, I think, right? So on 24th we will have our English and GK paper, and maybe on 26th we will have geology, and 27 or 28 you might have forestry, right? So it will change depending on UPSC schedule, but this will be the tentative schedule, right? So the most pertinent question and the most common question which we have been receiving since 2 days, like since your CSE mains is over, is sir, is it possible in 55 days, right? Because like there is this general notion that UPSC preparation takes 1 year, 2 years, something like that, and that is what most of us would have done for CSE, right? We would have devoted over 9 to 10 months for optional preparation and gone test series, multiple revision, and in that 1 or 2 year. So in that way, is it even possible to do it, to do two new optional mostly in 55 days, right? So what I want to say is that this session is mostly about that it is very much possible, because statistically there would be, there are 2000 official candidates writing mains, but I think based on the trend, not more than not more than 1500 or 1500 would write the mains, right? A lot of people generally give up. They are not much aware about the services, all these things. It happened. And the most important thing is that a lot of people have done in the past, right? And we have one of them with us also, right? So I'll introduce him to you. But generally this is a very famous Parkinson's quote. Parkinson was he has some work in public administration, and he was also a naval historian. So he have given this very common quote is that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion, right? So there are a lot of corollary. The most famous is the work contracts to fit in the time we give it. So generally people devote 6 to 8 months to complete the optional, but if you can push yourself, you can somehow you can do it even in 2 months, right? So basically these are some of the example of people who have did it last year. So these are all planet geology classroom student. So here we also have Amitej. So Amitej was our crash course topper. Amitej was with us for forestry as well as geology last year. So I remember he called me around 6th of October after his CSE mains, right? So he gave CSE mains just like most of you. He also gave his CSE mains with great, great focus and dedication, and he also secured a rank last year in CSE. So after going through all that rigor, in the month of October, he started preparing for forest, right? And it was his first attempt itself, right, for at Indian Forest Services, and I think overall fourth attempt. So starting from 6th of October and finishing at around 30th of November, he got all India rank 21, right? And just like Amitej, we also have another example. Like we have like Priya rank 26. She was also of the same thing. She also prepared for 2-3 months, and then of this poster, I think this poster might have 45 students. Of this, I think 23 students were from crash course. So why I'm sharing this to you is that these 23 were those people who prepared it in 50 days only, right? So if these people can do it, then each one of you present here can also do it, right? If you give your full to, right? And this is the previous year 2022 result. Here also there are around 20 students who prepared in this 2 months gap. So we have a lot of inspiration. The biggest inspiration is with us, fortunately, right? So Amitej, welcome to this session, and thank you, for sparing time for us and the student. So
Thank you, sir.
all right, so right, we congratulate you on your such efficient work last year. So right, I will introduce briefly Amitej to you all, and then I will give it to to Amitej to share his strategy and his journey and his timeline, whatever right he want to share, and then we will open it for you all to have your questions, and me and Lawrence sir and even Amitej, we all three can try to answer that, right? So we have Amitej Pangtey. Amitej was born and brought up in Lucknow, and he did his schooling from Lucknow. Right. Then he graduated from ID Delhi in electrical engineering. Right. So about UPSC, I think somebody has raised their hand. So you can please wait. We at the end of the session we will definitely right give you opportunity to ask the question. So as far as UPSC journey is concerned, I think this 2023 was Amitej's fourth attempt at UPSC, right? So for CSE, he has his optional as sociology, right? He has his optional as sociology. In his first two attempt, he took his graduation subject, electrical engineering, and then he changed to sociology. In forest, he has forestry as and geology, right? So in 2023, he got success in both CSE with an impressive AIR of 212, and he was allocated IPS. And in forest also, he got very impressive and efficient rank of 21, right? So this is the scorecard of Amitej, right? A lot of students wonder ki what should be our benchmark, all these things. So see, Amitej has managed around 200 marks in forestry with just I think 15 days of preparation. He can detail like how much time and other things he gave, right? In this is what I want to tell you. He scored 259 out of 400, right? So we get students every year in geology who score in 260 and 270, but those are the ones who prepare for more time, 6 months, 8 months, right? So this is the first time I have seen someone scoring around 260 marks with 50 days of preparation and in geology. So it is a very good, very good score, and very brilliant effort. His score in English and GK was also very good. Last year GK was a low scoring one. A lot of students could not cross 110, so he came close to 130, right? And his interview score is also impressive. So overall, a very talented and a very humble person with us, and right. So just before giving to Amitej, I also want to introduce myself and Lawrence sir to you. A lot of you might be knowing, and but I can see new people also here. So Lawrence sir and I, we are mentor as well as co-founder at Planet Geology. We both teach this geology crash course, right, at Planet Geology, and we also have our role in forestry crash course. Although forestry crash course is led mostly by Apurv Dikshit, right. So Lawrence sir and I both are IT Roorkee alumni, and Lawrence sir secured an impressive All India rank 1 in GATE in 2017. Sir has also worked in Royal Dutch Shell and ONGC, right? He has worked as a research assistant in University of Texas, USA, right? Presently, sir resides in Canada, so he will be teaching us from Canada and helping us in our examination. Sir will be the lead mentor for geology crash course, and right. And I am Mayank Malviya. I have also given 3 IFS interviews with geology and forestry, and I've worked in Coal India and ONGC before, and we both have extensive teaching experience of over 5 years, right? So this is it. Now let's come to the point that what it actually takes to get a rank in 55 days, right? So we have Amitej with us. Maybe directly Amitej can share his timeline, his strategy, when did he started, and right, and what was his approach for the examination. So right, welcome Amitej. Please take over right from here.
Thank you, Mayank sir. It was a really gracious introduction that you gave me. Sir, but I will not consider that it was my talent alone which gave me this rank. It was a lot of appropriate guidance which was given by all of you. And I think it was more about efficiency than it was about talent. So as you said, I called you on the 6th of October and I started my preparation from 6th and 7th itself. So what actually happened was like the mains, it got concluded last year. Civil services mains ended on the 25th of September. But I also had my UPPCS mains from the 27th of September. So from 27th to 30th September, I was engaged in that. So in effect, I had already given 2 mains before I started preparing for forest services. So that shows that at this point we are wondering we have already given 1 mains, and will we have the existential fuel to continue the preparation for another 50 days? So I'd already given 2 mains, and even then I prepared for around 50-55 days more. And then eventually, with God's grace, I was able to get a rank in forest services as well. So as I said, I started my preparation from the 6th of October. What happened was that I went through the Bangar book that is recommended for geology, but I was not able to understand anything from there. I started with structural geology, but I could not really understand. So in the evening itself, I contacted you, and then I entirely followed the schedule that was given by Planet Geology. So I think what really matters in these 50-55 days, especially if you're preparing for two options, is a right preparation strategy and some sort of discipline that you can maintain through the entire 50-55 days. Because also this period is one where a lot of festivals also come up. There's Diwali, Dashera. So
Yes.
a lot of distractions are there in this particular period. So having some sort of a timeline really benefits in this particular situation. So my overall strategy was something like that. I followed the schedule that was given by you. You started from general geology, and then we progressed to more. Firstly, we did the more conceptual topics like petrology and structural. So I think that is the appropriate strategy that anyone, even if they're not taking a coaching, should adopt. That you should firstly focus on the topics which require a little more conceptual understanding. So even if you invest a little more time in that, it will be beneficial because, as Mayank sir rightly pointed out, in this, most of the people who will be writing the mains in November and December, they will be people who have tried to rote learn things in the first instance. They do not have that conceptual clarity. So the relative marking really changes the game here because we have this sort of a misconception that we will require the level of preparation for a CSE optional for forest services as well. But that is really not the case. You cannot have that sort of preparation in 2 months, even if you are a brilliant individual with a very high IQ. You simply cannot do that. So what you need to do is that you need to get a little better off than the rest of your competition. And I think that comes from having some sort of conceptual clarity in both geology and forestry, and having a decent amount of coverage of the syllabus that is made available. So as I said, I started from the 6th of October. I used to divide my day basically. Somewhere around 10 to 11 hours I used to study every day, and from that around 3.5 hours I used to give to forestry, and around 6.5 6.5 or to 7 hours I used to invest in geology. So with this particular distribution of time, I was able to complete forestry. Mayank sir mentioned, I took the forestry crash course as well. So Apurv Dikshit sir, who is a ranker of 2021 examination, he has taken up the course and he has given around 50 to 55 hours of content in the course. So I went through that in that particular period from around 6th of October to till the 26th of October. And I had also gone through his own notes. I did not make my own notes for forestry because I thought that would be a little overkill because Apurv Dikshit sir's notes were available and I entirely relied on that. So I had gone through the videos by that time of forestry and also gone through the notes of Apurv Dikshit sir. And along with that, I began preparing for geology. I already had a backlog of around 6-7 days because last year also I remember the course for planet geology had started from 30th of September, I think. So I was already like 6 or 7 days behind. So I was never able to attend the live classes taken by Lawrence sir. But I would really say that Lawrence sir has been the foundation for my conceptual understanding for geology because the way that he is able to explain these topics in such a lucid manner that an individual who is coming from a humanities background like sociology in civil services, then I was able to decently understand geology. So I started with the conceptual topics first, like structural geology and petrology. So in these, and I think that a very important topic is also mineralogy, crystallography and mineralogy, because that also creates a strong foundation for geology. So I started with these things. I tried to cover them till around end of October. And after that, I then moved on to the other topics which require a lot of rote learning, such as paleontology and economic geology and stratigraphy. So I had kept those deliberately towards the end of my preparation. And even in those particular things, I was not able to cover everything. Even in fact, I would also like to say here that in the final examination, I eventually ended up leaving around 4 or 5 questions, including both the papers, paper one and paper two, because there were some very typical questions, and I did not really have the complete knowledge of it, so I ended up leaving them. But what happened was that freed up some time because I left those questions, so I was able to write the other questions quite well, and because having that conceptual clarity, it really benefited me. So even with leaving around 50 to 60 marks of the paper out of 400, I still ended up scoring 259. So that is something which really helped me, I think. And so even if you are even if you leave some part of the topic, even if you leave some part of the topic, that is paleontology or some parts of paleontology or some parts of stratigraphy, you can still score decently well. And another thing is that even in these topics, there are some low-hanging fruits that you can definitely go after. Such as in paleontology, there are microfossils which are very often repeated. So you can maybe invest some more time in that. And also there is the evolution of horses, evolution of elephant and humans. So I found that quite interesting also. So I invested a little more time in that. So I think that also helped because the evolution of horses actually came in the final paper as well. Similarly, for stratigraphy, there are some topics which you can definitely invest a little more time on. And apart from that, even for the topics which are generally considered to be very requiring a lot of rote learning, such as stratigraphic sequences or the paleontology of trilobita and other species that are there. For that, what I did was I tried to make my own short notes, and I tried to make those notes in a sort of a comparative and a tabular fashion, so that it becomes easier for me to understand as well as to revise at a later stage. Uh, I also did the same thing for topics like crystallography, which require a conceptual understanding. So preparing your own notes is quite necessary, because in the end you will have to make sure that you revise at least 2 or 3 times before you go into the final examination. And for that, a concise source is absolutely necessary. Some of the content was provided by Planet Geology itself, so I utilized that, and also I made some my own short notes. And another thing, a point of difference that is generally seen from civil services in forest services, is that there is a lot of scope for making diagrams in both forestry and geology. So you have to really practice those diagrams, especially if you're coming from a non-technical option, like a humanities background option from civil services, or even a mathematics or any engineering background option. You will require a lot of practice for making those diagrams in that given time. Even so much so that you can also include different colored pens while you're making those diagrams to make it look more embellished. Because I did that. I also consulted with Mayank sir. Mayank sir had been a constant support throughout the entire journey. Like even the smallest of doubts, I used to rely on Mayank sir itself. Even for the forest interview, my DAF or my cardiac preference filling, I relied entirely on the advice given by Mayank sir, and he also helped me out in planning exactly how I should go about like in these 2 months, how I should strategize and what topics should prioritize and do with more invest more time in those topics. So my answer was a constant support throughout the entire journey, and so yes. So overall, this was something which I did for geology. For English, definitely there is you have to go back and do a lot of PYQs research for English, because a number of times we see the questions are the themes are repeating, the questions are repeating. So PYQs can really help, but also you will have to do some sort of work in grammar, because even though my score is decent enough in English, around 146, but there are people who have even scored 180 in 180s in English this year. So I think that is, even if your optional preparation is not to that level, it can be really beneficial if you can get the same amount of score in the English or the GK papers. So for English, you can go for any content that is generally available for basic grammar, like I think some word sentence transformation questions are asked, and then there is the letter that you need to learn, the format of which you need to learn. Those are 50 marks that you can easily score very well in. So I think investing some time in that will be really helpful. We tend to generally neglect English because we have that sort of inertia from civil services that English का तो merit में count नहीं होता है. So we should really give up that, and because it will give you as many marks as you will get from an optional subject. So you'll really have to invest some time in that. For general knowledge, again, there are two sets of students. Some are who have given the civil services mains, and then there are those who have not given the civil services mains and preparing entirely for forest services. For the people who have given this civil services mains, I would not recommend that you invest a lot of time in for general knowledge, because most of the questions you will be able to tackle as it is. Some questions are definitely there which have some current orientation, but they are very, very few. I think in science and technology, there are some questions which require some current understanding, but you'll be able to handle them. So I don't think you, for those people, you require any preparation for the general knowledge. For the other people who are preparing specifically for forest services, some amount of static subjects would be necessary for you to cover. Like there is a clear division. Like the first question will always be of history and art and culture. The second question will be of economy. Third question will be of polity. So you have to have some amount of static knowledge in that. So you'll have to give some amount of time for that as well. Now, coming to forestry, as I previously mentioned, I had taken the crash course with Planet Geology itself. I did not rely on anything. Even I did not go through Manikandan, which is considered to be the Bible for forestry preparation. I did not go through that because Abur Dixit sir, what he had done was that not only from Manikandan, but from many other sources, he had prepared his notes. And in the Planet Geology course, it was he himself who was taking that course. So it became extremely syncretic for me to go through his videos and then follow it through with his notes. So that made my job a little easier. Although I definitely have to confess that I did not invest sufficient amount of time in forestry. And my scores reflect in that. My paper two score is only 87, and so that is that is below par. So I would recommend that if you again follow the same plan a little bit better for forestry, I think that would give you a better score. And for forestry, there are a few things that are important because it is a technical subject. So one basic thing is that you must ensure that you're writing the scientific names of the trees wherever possible. You should not go for with the common names. Like for Shisham, you have to write Dalbergia sisu. For Sal, you have to write Shoya robusta. And you also have to underline those. There is a specific taxonomy that you have to follow while you're writing those scientific names. So you must ensure that. And apart from that, there are definitely there are certain areas in forestry as well which are low hanging fruits and can be really helpful. For example, some topics are very, very important, like tending operations, plantations, silvicultural systems. They are quite conceptual and you will not have to rote learn a lot of things, but they are very often repeated. So those things you have to ensure that you are covering those bases quite well. There is some overlap with environment as well, like the environment and ecology that we study for civil services. Generally, in paper two, we see that there is some sort of overlap, so you will not have to invest a lot of time in that. In that. Apart from that, there are topics which will require a lot of rote learning in forestry as well. Like the silviculture of trees is a topic which a lot of people they really do well with. And I also was not able to focus a lot on that because it requires a lot of conceptual understanding first and a lot of rote learning after that. So you have to manage, like while going through PYQs, you can find out what sort of uh, trees are being repeated, whose silvicultures are being asked. So you can maybe prepare those. So you'll have to do it a little more efficiently. That is all for that is all that you can with which you can handle the forestry things. And one other thing that is there, I would like to. There's generally a myth around UPSC preparation that the selection ratio is very poor and that a lot of things are there. But in forest services, as Mayank sir also mentioned, the selection ratio, if you have done a decent amount of preparation in these 50-55 days, is very, very high. And I can say that in the main center where I had given in Lucknow, only around 60 to 65% people had actually turned up to write the mains examination. There were so many empty seats, which is never seen in the civil services mains. So already a lot of competition has given up. And if you have a certain amount of preparation, you will probably not only just clear for the interview, you'll actually end up clearing the whole entire thing if you have a decent score in the interview. So that is a myth that I wanted to break. And even though the time is less, but it really, if you can be consistent, be disciplined in the entire journey, 50-55 days is not that long as like to be disciplined. After that, you can do whatever you want to do. But for 50-55 days, you can definitely be a little more disciplined, and that will reap wonderful rewards for you in the future. So I think that will be all from my side, and we can get some questions.
Okay. So, like, thank you, Amitej. It was a wonderful overview of your journey. I just want to ask a couple of questions, like small timelines. So, you mentioned that you started on 6th of October, और आपका 26 तक 26th of October तक you completed forestry. Geology थोड़ा आगे चला था. So, what was the date around, like लगभग वहां तक आपके both options were completed, and then what was your revision, right? Revision कैसे किया कि 10-12 दिनों में how much time, to thrice, how much time could you revise? That is one thing I want to ask. Another thing is ki you talked about English, so that is also very important because like some people they start working for English abhi se hi, right, from October. So what would be that week जहाँ English पढ़ना better होता है?
Sure, sir. Sir, there's a forestry I covered by 26th of October. Geology, in fact, I would say that I was writing most of the geology right till the end of November. So the exam was on 30th of November, but I was even on 29th November. There were things that I had no idea about, but that did not mean that I hadn't started revising. So from 26th October, when I had interacted with you about the status of my preparation, from that very point, I started revising whatever I had already studied in geology as well as my forestry. So I began that sort of second revision, and you could say that some amount, like I had covered the major topics. First revision around 15th to 15th of November. I think most important of the conceptual topics I had covered. And yes, I forgot to mention this, that in my second revision, I started making a lot of short notes, which I mentioned, that those tabular format notes. For example, there is mineral properties that we have, physical properties of minerals that we need to study in geology paper 2. So in that, the easiest way to learn them is to have a comparative table for the different properties for different mineral groups. So those sort of notes I started making in my revision when I started my revision. And overall number of revisions, I would say I was able to do, I think, two revisions for 2.5 revisions maybe for forestry. And I focused more on geology, so I was able to cover the important topics 3 times. But like paleontology and stratigraphy, I was able to just go through them one more time. So maybe 1.5 revision you could call it. For stratigraphy, I use a lot of like for stratigraphic sequences. I remember you mentioned a phrase like I think Kamal Chacha
Yes, yes.
नहा धो करके
Yeah, yeah.
ताता पानी चले. So those sort of things were really helpful for stratigraphy. I try to make them for the rock sequences. I try to make them so that I could remember them. So I tried to do that, but I was not able to really revise them very often. So I would say probably 1.5 revision I made for that. For English, sir, yes, although English is important, but it cannot entirely rely on English. English will only give you a certain amount of marks, and there is a lot of variability in grammar also because there is essay, there is précis. So you may not end up getting very high marks. So for English, I would say that somewhere around mid of November, you can start preparing some amount of work. You can start investing some amount of work for English, and I think that will be more than necessary for the English papers.
Lawrence sir.
Yes, I will just like agree with most of the things that you and Amitej ji has mentioned. And the biggest point to underscore in all this is like this is not just a game like for these next 50 days. It's not just a game of intelligence or how much you are preparing or the content. It's a game of perseverance. Okay, do you have that grit in you? Okay, to push through this process, to push through the hard times. But keep in mind like this 50 days, okay, if you can invest in 50 days, you can make sacrifices during these 50 days. This is something that will be fruitful for you for life. Okay, it might be fruitful. It like in some cases maybe you have to give another attempt next year, so you waste another whole year. So whenever you're like making those sacrifices, whenever you feel a little down, Just think about that. This there is like light at the end of the tunnel. Like, and no matter what, like whatever your preparation is, let's say, don't think too much about like if you will be able to finish it or not. How will the syllabus finish? If you have a strategy and you're sticking to it, and let's say you're putting in number of hours every day and you're studying it, maybe some things are not getting clear. Of course, some things will get clear. Okay, it will not be the case that you're if you're studying geology for 5 hours every day and you'll not get anything. Okay, if you keep doing that, if forget about the result also, that process will end like in 50 days. Okay, no matter what, whether you have prepared or not prepared, whether you did not understand anything also, let's say you're putting in 5 hours every day, you understand 0%, but I would still say like just stick to that strategy, because a lot of students will give up in between. And no matter what happens, even if you think it's a complete waste of time or you are not feeling happy during that time, it will end in 50 days. Okay, there is like hard that is the exam date, no matter, so it cannot stretch on forever. Okay, so that is a very important thing. Regarding like exactly the content, the geology part, I will start introductory technical classes very soon. Okay, but that is to come later. Like I will not have discussion about that today. I know like there are some students who are asking also in the group like what is plagioclase. Okay, in the crash course group. Now that is kind of like asking someone like who is studying astronomy, what is a planet. Okay, but again, people start from this level. Okay, and they are able to score very good in geology and they are able to clear the exam, and you will see like slight variations in like amount of geology that students have studied in the past. But I want to say like this is a very important fact. You can start like at a very basic level, and if you stick to a strategy, study persistently, you should be able to clear the exam, or at least you will have a very decent chance at like securing a good rank in the exam.
Yes. So like I just want to add, and before opening up for everyone, ki, you in this 50 days you have to be like Indian cricket team, right? So I think there is a match going on in Kanpur presently. Uske first 3 days of the match got washed by rain, right? And like India want to have this World Test Championship point. So in 2 days it is not possible generally to get result out of it, right? The 2 days is a very short time. Similarly, जो perception आ रहा है कि 50-55 days is a very short time to get the result. But see the intent, see the mental capacity of Indian cricket team ki yaar, they are actually forcing a result. So it is about the intent. They made, if you follow cricket, they made 300 runs in 30-35 overs generally, which is done in in 6-7 sessions or 2 days. तो वही है जो लोग 6 महीने 8 महीने में प्रिपरेशन करते हैं दो ऑप्शनल की, that you can do it in even 50 days, but it is about mental game, right? And like Amitej mentioned कि भाई वो 15th November तक भी he was geology का revision was yet to start in a way, थोड़ा थोड़ा चल रहा था. So like see, I keep talking, we both keep talking a lot of students. So I just was going through chat with Amitej in the morning कि यार इससे क्या इसको mentorship दिया, इसको क्या doubt आते थे. And similarly there were other student also. So like there were another एक दो लोग और थे, they were at very similar level to Amitej at 15th of November, right? They both could have, she could have also got the same rank like Amitej, but she gave up in the very last week. She was doing very good through the 45 days. फिर उसको लगा कि यार दो ऑप्शन में 10 दिन में कैसे करूंगी रिवाइज, एंड शी काइंड ऑफ गिव अप. So she got the interview call because of the work she put in 40 days, but she didn't go the last mile, last तक नहीं लड़ी, right? So this is not like CSE की last week relax करना है ना, थोड़ा बहुत रिवाइज कर लेना है, होता है ना प्रीलिम्स में what we do, right? This is like in a way like semester exam, college exam की आखिरी समय तक fight करते रहना है. You have to keep fighting, keep persisting, right? That is one thing. And then so the second thing I want to give, just like Amitej, we had example every year. Last year also we have a student, and उसके पहले भी कि they, it was their 6th attempt, CSE में rank नहीं आया, their 6th attempt was gone, their actually dream to be an all India service officer was gone, but एकदम से उनका first time 6th attempt में forest का कट ऑफ निकला था prelims का. They prepared for 50 days, they use all their wisdom. एक जो 6 साल की थी, they give it everything in 50 days and they got very good rank. They are in the service this year, right? So it is possible. It is just कि भाई बहुत intensely मेहनत करना है, and most importantly like Amitej mentioned very early कि अभी बहुत सारे festival आने वाले हैं. There will be Diwali, there will be Dashera, right? Then a lot of things. So your solo trip, all these things can wait. If you could put 10 to 12 hours, which right, for next for 50 days, it will happen. It is not a easy journey कि हो ही जाएगा. It will be ना very, कभी कभी फ्रस्ट्रेटिंग भी होगा, लैक ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस भी होगा. इट इज ऑल राइट, बट इंपॉर्टेंट इज कीप डूइंग इट, राइट? So I think we can open it up. I have two other doubts with Amitesh. One is regarding like everybody keep asking to us ki sir PYQ, right? So I think he has partly shared his ki bhai conceptual clarity is also important. Like just now I got a message कि मुझे सिर्फ PYQ का solution दे दो, I will mug it up and मेरा like I can get selection. So what was his take on PYQ, his approach in PYQ, राइट? तो कभी कभी इस पे ज्यादा ओसीडी हो जाता है कि लोग सिर्फ पीवाईक्यू करने लगते हैं. तो वन थिंग इज दैट, एंड सेकंड थिंग इज अबाउट द नोट्स व्हिच वी हैव डिस्कस. तो आई थिंक लॉरेंस सर वी कैन ओपन इट अप फॉर ऑल दिस स्टूडेंट टू आस्क द क्वेश्चन, राइट? उसमें हो जाएगा.
Just I'll have one final comment to make, but maybe like I can make it later. Like you can start, Amitej ji.
Okay. So like Shiv or Shambuling, if I am reading it long, Shambuling, you want to ask something? You have raised your hand from quite some time.
Himanshu also. Just one more point I wanted to make. It just like came to me. Last year, I remember like after the exam, last year's paper was also not easy. It was quite difficult paper compared to like some of the papers that we had seen in previous years. In fact, like the CSE mains this year that happened, it was like quite easy paper compared to last time. And a lot of students were actually kind of scared after the exam. Like I don't know how the paper went. It was slightly difficult. Were my answers up to the mark? Maybe I could not answer all the questions. I left some of the questions. And we have seen like just now that you don't need to answer all the questions. The fact that people went to the examination hall, they gave their best and they studied well for the 50 days, that was sufficient. You don't have to be perfect. You may feel like very bad, and actually students scored quite well last year in geology, even though paper was difficult.
Yes, sir. Actually, forest का पेपर 2 साल से डिफिकल्टी आ रहा है. लाइक दैट इज ऑल्सो व्हाट वी कॉल कि अलग ही वो सीन है कि लोग कम समय पढ़ते हैं एंड दे आर गिविंग डिफिकल्ट पेपर. But like I said, 259 marks by Amitej in 50 days of preparation. So there are a lot of other factors at play. There is relative marking, which is more prominent in forest compared to CSE, right? So it is not CSE. That is what Amitej also said, and we will also keep saying you for next 2 months. It is not CSE. Don't go for perfection. Go for completion of syllabus and multiple revision, right? That is the summary, right? So Himanshu, you want to ask something?
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask two queries basically from Amitej, sir. Sir, what like first query is how many tests you gave and from what time did you start? टेस्ट वाली पहली क्वेरी है. सेकंड सर, जो मयंक सर ने पूछा, जो PYQs का कितना रोल था आपके उसमें प्रिपरेशन में. एंड थर्ड एंड लास्ट थिंग सर कि हम लोग के पास टाइम जैसे कि है बहुत शॉर्ट है, तो उसमें लेक्चर्स देखना कितना बेनिफिशियल होगा. जैसे कि कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स हैं लाइक स्ट्रेटिग्राफी और क्रिस्टलोग्राफी, जैसे आपने पैलियोंटोलॉजी में बोला, या फिर सभी लेक्चर्स देखना सही रहेगा. फॉरेस्ट्री में जैसे सिर्फ सिल्वीकल्चर देख लिया या फिर सब कुछ देखना सही रहेगा. ये थर्ड क्वेश्चन है सर कि आपने सारे लेक्चर्स देखे थे और उसके साथ साथ नोट्स भी बनाए थे कि नहीं. जैसे आपने फॉरेस्ट्री में तो बता दिया कि आपने अपूर्व सर के उस पर फोकस किया था, ऐसे आप एक बार जियोलॉजी का भी एक बार बता दीजिए कि आपने नोट्स, शॉर्ट नोट्स जो बनाए थे वो तो ठीक है, बट लेक्चर्स के साथ भी बनाए थे कि नहीं. ये एक दो क्वेश्चंस है सर. शुड आई रिपीट सर?
नहीं
टेस्ट का एक, PYQ का और एक. यस सर, प्लीज. थैंक यू सर.
हाँ. So tests I did not give. I'll respond to you in English because there are a lot of people who may not be comfortable with
Sure sir, sure sir.
So tests I did not give any tests. I did not give any tests because already my answer writing practice already had been done with my civil services mates. One thing, yes, and then it is an important point which your question has raised in my mind, is that in the general knowledge paper, the pattern is different for forest services. It's actually a 300 mark paper, and it's not a 250 mark paper. So that is the only thing that you will have to identify, how exactly you have to spread out the time per question. I think it comes down to, I think, 5 minutes for a 10 marker and 7 minutes for a 15 marker. So that is what our point of difference. And I don't think it's in the optional, I specifically did not find the need for writing tests because, frankly speaking, I did not have the time to write the tests because you cannot write a test if you don't have complete understanding, and I was focusing on complete understanding. So SMA, if I had given a test, it would probably have been demoralizing for me. So I avoided writing any tests. But again, if you have been preparing for this exam for a few years for the forest services, and if you have prepared well enough, then and you have the time, then you can definitely give a few tests. Test writing in is probably helpful in mains because it helps you get in the mindset and आपके थोड़ी सी active recall भी बढ़ जाता है in that regard. For PYQs, see, for PYQs in geology, I did not find the need for going through PYQs because the content that was given by Lawrence sir, that was already modeled on PYQs, and on the one side, by going through the lectures, it gave me the conceptual clarity, but the content that was given was very crisp and precise. So I had gone through the PYQs, but I realized that even if I only prepare whatever notes have been given or I have prepared, I think I will be able to write decently well. So PYQs, maybe for forestry, they have a little more importance because forestry में उतना वो binded content I think available नहीं रहता है कि this is all that you need to study. So in that, probably PYQs can be helpful in creating that outer boundary of what exactly it is that you need to study. So you can go through the PYQs. I think sectional PYQs be available रहते हैं. You can go through them. But only writing PYQs is not the answer. That is, you cannot go through that, do that because वहाँ पे आपकी रटने वाली knowledge will not help you at all. You will have to have some amount of conceptual clarity, and that will only come by going through some lectures or some notes from somewhere, from whatever platform or from the market that you've taken. But you'll have to go through those notes at first priority, and उसके बाद अगर time लगता है, you can go through the PYQs. For lectures, which you said, I think, yes, you answered your question, I think, well enough. For the conceptual topics, you will have to go through the lectures because that understanding you will not be able to develop. As I gave my example, I started reading structural geology from Bangar. I could not really understand anything. I recognized that there are some folds and faults there, which I had done in geography at a basic level, but I could not really understand what was going on. So for that, in that aspect, I think for me, lectures were really beneficial for the topics like that. But yes, there are topics like geomorphology, like environmental, or maybe even engineering geology, where it is more about the content. It's not about that much of an understanding because the understanding would already have been built up through your structural geology and your crystallography and other major topics. So in that, you can just go through the notes, wherever you can find. I think there are a number of toppers whose notes are available for geology, so you can go through those. And yes, so that leads us into the note making part. The notes for geology, what I did was, firstly, some of the notes were made available by Planet Geology. So I had gone through the course, and uski ke saath I could add the side where I opened up a PDF viewer, and usi mein I used to annotate on those notes itself. If you lecture dekh raha ho, so whatever conceptual thing Lawrence sir was talking about or Mayank sir was talking about, I used to add those onto on the PDF itself. So एक हाथ तो ये हो जाएगा. But the short notes वाली चीज is important because it helps you get that conceptual clarity. Because if you write it in your own words, and if you write it so as to make yourself understand, that will really be helpful. So I would also recommend that. You will not be able to do that in the first reading of the major topics. So as I mentioned, that 26th October probably was a cutoff date from when I started the revising. I oriented my preparation towards the revision wala thing, and that is when I started making those short notes and those tabular format notes. And I think that would be really helpful for geology. And notes ke saath you will have to also start preparing for making the diagrams. So diagrams bhi aap saath mein lete hue chaliye. So that is also a part of note making itself. So I think that would probably be the answer.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. एक last thing, sir. One last thing. GK का आपने mention किया that it would be a 300 mark paper. तो आपने कितने डेज में आपने जीके खत्म किया था ऑलमोस्ट, क्योंकि पूरा सीएससी का जीके जीएस रिवाइज करना इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट। तो आपका कितना टाइम एलोकेशन था? थैंक यू।
I did not give any time for GK. I really, frankly speaking, I did not give any time for GK because I had given the civil services mains. In fact, I had also given PCS mains. So already मेरे को confidence आया कि I'll tackle whatever question comes. So I did not prepare anything. But अगर आपका ऐसा है कि if you have some sort of you अगर कोई contact छूट चुका है civil services वाली preparation से, then maybe last के वही जो जब आप English का start कर रहे हो around 10th to 15th November, उसके बाद से you can start some sort of static preparation for GK.
ठीक है, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you.
I just want to add कि आपने important topic में नाम लिए थे, तो you took name like stratigraphy, crystallography. So see,
Yes sir.
इन्होंने बोला कि they are important, they are conceptual, पर ये बहुत important है कि भाई कौन सी चीज पे कितना सर मारना है, right? So if I have seen people, they keep devoting 10 days to crystallography when you know that only one question will be there from crystallography. Same thing is with stratigraphy. By stratigraphy को like he said that he could revise it once. That was a wise decision. अगर if he would have revised it even 10 times, उनके नंबर में बहुत फर्क पड़ता नहीं, राइट? तो वी आर नॉट टेलिंग यू टू लीव समथिंग, बट इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट एंड वाइज। बाकी देखो, उन्होंने छोड़ा जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी लेक्चर नहीं देखे बिकॉज इट इज ऑल्सो जीएस, लाइक ही हैज अ स्ट्रॉन्ग होल्ड ऑन जीएस, ही कुड डू इट, बट स्मॉलर इजी टॉपिक्स लाइक हाइड्रोजियोलॉजी, है ना, लाइक even petrology is core, but there are other units also, geochemistry, these also give as many marks as mineralogy would give. So it is important in our schedule which Lawrence will be sharing for crash course detail. We have balanced it out. We have tried to cover the tough topic, then easy topic, tough topic. So ये भी है, like I have seen a very good student with very good background, they start with paleontology, they start with stratigraphy, है ना, उनको लगता है कि जो डिफिकल्ट है मगअप करने वाले हैं, दे विल डू इट फर्स्ट, but I don't think it is a very helpful because like it is a mental game. You should do things which improve your confidence. So if you will see कि मैंने 6 यूनिट कर लिए हैं, है ना, वो स्मॉल है, टफ एंड, it doesn't matter, and on other side you have done 2 difficult unit, so in the first case you will have better confidence, right? So this is the one thing. Okay.
Okay, thank you sir.
Okay, Devanshu, you want to ask something?
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask to you as well as Amitej, sir. What is the better way to cover both the optional? To go one after the other, or to go with both of them together?
So for me, I did both of them together. But it is also, I've seen some people who cover forestry in one stretch and then geology in the middle and then revise forestry at the end. So both the strategies work.
Yes, because sometimes I feel like because that if I go with geology, suppose in one go, then I'll be better able to grasp the concepts and able to memorize those things that are there for rote learning. And then, but the risk is that if I then take up the forestry, then I might be forgetting those geological concepts. So that is the thing.
Yes.
See,
So
I
you
want to
cannot-
yes sir.
Yes, sir.
So I
Yes,
just
sir.
sorry, Amitej, please complete your
Sir, I just wanted to say that you cannot leave touch of geology at any point in time. So that is the only thing that I want.
Okay, okay.
yes. So like I just want to tell you कि ये भी important है कि if you are doing like firstly you should start with geology for sure, right? You can बीच में you can start with forestry also. Forestry should be managed. To be successful, it is important you complete forestry within 10 to 15 days cumulatively, right? Like so if
Right.
you can you will take a even crash course of geology and then you take फॉरेस्ट्री का बड़ा कोई किसी कहीं से भी बहुत बड़ा कोर्स ले लिया, है ना, सपोज 150 आवर्स का, तो प्रैक्टिकली स्पीकिंग इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल, दोनों चीजें खराब हो जाती हैं. So you do self study. Even Manikandan can help you, right? Manikandan can help you with forestry. It is a easy subject, so it is important कि you do it very shortly, right? और बाकी ये कि जियोलॉजी लाइक ही सेड कि शुरू से थोड़ा थोड़ा करते रहो, बट जियोलॉजी विल बी अ कांस्टेंट थिंग लास्ट तक. फॉरेस्ट्री को यू नीड टू स्प्रिंकल इन बिटवीन या लास्ट में जैसे भी इट वर्क्स, राइट?
Okay, okay. Thank you.
शिवांश.
Hello, yes, sir. Hello.
Yes, Shivash, please go ahead.
ahead.
Okay, yes, sir. My question is from to Amitej, sir. So did you cover and revise the whole geology syllabus, or you just cherry pick repeated themes or important questions?
So as I mentioned, I focused the revision more on the conceptual topics and the low hanging fruits. I Most of my revision was focused on that. I could not. Maybe you can say that I could not revise the entire geology even once because there are some portions that I eventually ended up leaving. So, but again, I intensified my revision on those topics which were often repeated and which I felt were a little easier for me to understand and could probably have a high cost like will have a high benefit to cost ratio.
Okay, thank you.
Shivang, you want to ask something?
Shashank, yeah. Hi, good morning, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, Shiva. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir, and congratulations,
Thank you.
first of all. So I want to ask with respect to the CSE preparation, I want to take geology as my CSE option. So how should I approach it differently from the forest preparation? This is my first question. And second question respect to answer writing. So how can we deal with the answer writing part as there is very minimal or I don't think there is any source of uh, toppers answer copies for geology. I didn't find anything like that. So I just want to ask with respect to answer writing and the approach to follow the CSC preparation. Thank you, sir.
I think it will be better that Mayank sir, you answer the geology for civil services.
Like Shivang, maybe like this is mainly focused for IFS preparation for next 50 days. CSE, you can contact me personally. I can clear that doubt there. But generally, the syllabus is same for CSE and IFS. In fact, IFS का syllabus ज़्यादा है. In the invertebrate वाला part है paleontology में, that is not in CSE. Other than that, CSE में relative marking नहीं होती है ऐसी. You have to be good absolutely. Right? Forest में relative marking also plays a role. So यही एक basic है difference. Otherwise, the approach is mostly the same, right? You can contact, I'll clear that there also, right? So like maybe there are some doubts about the course. So Amitej, if you permit, can we give a glance of the course? Lawrence sir can briefly in 5-10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then we can take up more call. Lawrence sir, is it fine?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Do you want to share the slides?
I can share or I can share. Okay.
Because I might
If you
not
have,
have the
you can
latest
share.
version with me.
All right. All right. All right. So we will keep it brief. We'll cover it, and then you can all ask the doubts, right? So this is the schedule, right?
Yes.
Is it visible? Okay.
It is visible on my end, so it should be visible to others. I will not go into detail with this on this schedule now. It will be the slides will be made available to you all. The video will also be uploaded on YouTube, so you can like view the schedule. It may not make a lot of sense to you right now. I will take a like very brief introductory class just to go through like what each of these subjects mean and where it fits in your overall preparation. This schedule, like ideally we say like okay, it starts from first, second, maybe we'll release the first chapter, and all the content will be made available to you, and this is like been designed to complete in 31 days. Um if you start like 3 days later maybe or 4 days later, so you can like bulk shift this whole schedule according to that. It's not like written in stone. Sometimes like it will happen, okay, that maybe on some subject you take an extra day or so, but this like is more important from also sequence perspective. Like a lot of subjects tie to other subjects, you need some background knowledge. You cannot understand petrology, which is basically study of rocks, without understanding the study of minerals, which comes under mineralogy. Crystallography maybe like depends, like you can skip it to the end. It does not really tie to any other subject, but it's like conceptual, it's objective. If you like can get hold of it, it will be high scoring. Okay, so we'll talk about syllabus in detail later on, but this just to show you that this is how like it has been divided to be covered in 30 days. That still leaves you a good 20-24 days for revision. Okay.
All right. So, here, if we have mentioned about general geology, so generally, just like what we did with Amitej case when he last year with his course, then we will release 4 hours of content daily, almost, right? So, if it is 30 days, 30 day, like this is all approximate. Like you, if it could be, if instead of 120 hours, it could go to 130 hours, it could also go to 110 hours, right? So I'm just talking in approximate terms. So it would be approximately 120 hours whole course. All right. And daily we will give you content of around 4 hours, right? So this is the point. It is mostly schedule based, right? We will have live classes on weekend, right? So today is Tuesday. So today itself we will be releasing 3 units. 3 units because some people want to, prepare more initially. They should not have anxiety कि भाई मैंने खत्म कर लिया and content नहीं है. So that is how, but this, you should try to stick to the schedule. And it is all right कि sometimes you will not be able to complete, right? In 2 days you might not be able to complete Mentology. It is all right, right? But this you will be able to complete. These are very easy units. So this is the feature. So it will be pre-recorded and live lectures. So live lecture will be on weekend. Live lecture could be like it could be regular classes, it could be doubt classes, right? That is one thing. And mentorship is also there. We will make a private Telegram group of all those who have enrolled. Then Lawrence sir and I try to keep clearing the doubt 24 like wherever we could, right? So that will be there. You can always talk to us directly also on DM, direct messaging also. Like we try to clear all the doubts, but that group is important. We keep giving tips and general perspective of the schedule, the units, right? Including the technical doubts, right? And then this normal technicality is that our portal is compatible to all devices, whether it is Android, it is iPhone or whatever it is. So we also have app. So all these things are taken care of. This is very important point, that most of our notes we have not made it downloadable, right? So this is also important because geology is a technical subject. Our exam is subjective exam. So it is must. It is must. We should have our notes. We should have our own notes,
Very,
right?
very important.
But
Like I have seen, like for example, even in subjects, like question comes on earthquake, and the question is, what is an earthquake? Now, even if you are not a geology student, you should be able to answer that. Now, if you have not made your notes now, sometimes I've seen students kind of like blackout right in the very moment. Like they are not even able to move their pen. So that is why like note making is very, very important.
yes. So like for support, just like even Amitej mentioned, we also have Apurv Dixit notes, right? If somebody don't know about Apurv Dixit is an IFS 2021. He had geology and forestry as his optional. He was also our classroom student. He was student of our comprehensive course, right? That was the year we started, the planet geology started. So he was the student of our comprehensive notes. So his notes are very, very exhaustive, right? So you can also, we will share those notes in the group in the portal. You can take printout. A lot of things will be, most of the things will be common with what we are talking. So you can use his notes also. That is also a smart way of preparation. But ultimately, the success will come with your own notes. So like what Amitej did, he finally made his notes. So he mentioned that after 10th of November, during his second revision, he made his own short notes, right? So all this need not be perfect. You can maybe skip some topic, you read directly from Apurv notes, but you should at least make short notes of 70 to 80% of the topic. Like short notes would be like making just keyword, diagram, headings. Like maybe if possible, Amitej would share some of his short notes, even picture of couple of pages, so you can get some idea, right? But all this thing can take even after in second revision, right? But this is must. In first iteration, maybe you can use Apurv Dixit notes. Those are planet geology notes only, right? So that is another thing. And this is a general thing. If you have any issue, you can directly call us at this number. This is my personal number. You can directly talk to us in mail. You can reach to Lawrence also at this email ID, right? And even in the mentorship group, we are always available. And this is general rider because a lot of people talk about sharing of the module, all those things. So I firmly believe कि भाई सिर्फ लेक्चर होने से, वीडियो नोट्स होने से क्लास नहीं निकलती. हार्डवर्क करना पड़ेगा रैंक लाने के लिए, एंड आशीर्वाद भी चाहिए रहेगा ऑफ द मेंटर्स, राइट? If you have blessings, if you have mentorship, then only you will be able to clear the exam. This is like the general trend. So please do not share login ID. If you have any genuine issue, please write to us, write to this email ID. We will try to provide all kind of support, including the financial support to you. But please do not share login ID, right? Do not, misuse that, right? So this is a small request. Right. Again, I will give an overview. This all we were talking about geology. I will just briefly tell about forestry crash course. The forestry crash course we have made, or Apurv has helped us made that to to be complementary to geology. So geology actually is a heavy subject, heavy. So it would be 120, 130 hours of course. There are some PYQ solution directly spoon feeded, right? Answers by Lawrence sir. So those would add to 20 hours more if you go on to see that, right? Video lecture. But to complement that, we have tried to make a quality course. It is just a 50 to 52 hour course, right? So if you devote 5 hours daily to lecture viewing, right, you can complete it within 10 days, right? I know there are other more efficient people, so they can do it even in less time, 8 to 10 days, but 10 to 12 days it is fine, and then you can devote 5 days for intense revision, something like that. So here Apurv Dikshit, he is the lead mentor, but there are actually 4 mentors. I have taken silviculture system part, Lawrence sir has taken the biology part, the genetic part, and another mentor including Apurv Singh. He is also IFS 2022. He has also given some insights on answer writing. So there are actually 4 mentors there, right? But Apurv obviously is the lead mentor. So to complete this course in this time, what he has done is he has used his own handwritten notes, right? So that is why I generally recommend you use his notes and read Manikandan book, right? See, because like Amitej could make out what he has written, but sometimes like we face that some students don't are not very comfortable with his handwriting, right? Of anyone else handwriting. So in that case, you can use Manikandan book, because after going through lectures, Manikandan would be a cakewalk. Amitej could make sense of his notes, so he did not need to make even his own notes or read book, right? But in case if you have difficulty in understanding somebody's handwriting, then try you can use those along with lecture and also refer Manikandan. So in that way, we have mentioned Manikandan with you. That is one thing. In forestry, we have made all the notes downloadable, right, as a strategy, because they are mostly handwritten notes, right? There are also some slides which we have not made downloadable, because they are just value addition. If you keep downloading everything, take printing out, it will be again 1200 pages of notes. That is of no use. So these are all downloadable. We will make even these downloadable in whatever capacity. There are PYQ, compilation, all those are downloadable. There are short notes also from toppers. They are also all downloadable. Some selectively might not be downloadable, but that is done out of thought, not randomly for anything. So forestry will mostly be downloadable. You can take printout and use it and complete within 10 to 15 days. Geology, most of the content will not be downloadable. If there is some urgency, there is some genuine issue, we will help, right? We are not very rigid on that, but as a rule of thumb, we have shared, right? So this is what about English. Amitej has shared very well. Amitej mentioned that somebody scored 180, right? So last year AIR 13, Medha Sinha, she scored 183. So she had also shared her strategy, which we will share in the group, right? How she managed it, right? So Amitej got 146, and this was the highest. If he could have managed this, I think he would be on top 3 ranker, something like that. So this is what English could also do. So for this, we have also given the supportive content on English on your portal. This is free of cost. This is just compilation of good sources, NCRT, other things which we have done, right? So this will be available on your portal. This could get you started. I don't take any guarantee ki bhai this is sufficient, but just to enable you to save your time, I have compiled things and we will give you on your portal free of cost. That is, even if you don't join any course, that is it. This is important, as Amitej mentioned that do it in the last 10 days, right? Give few days, but that is it. So this is about English. Generally, this is our link of our Telegram group, general open Telegram group. You can join for general updates. If you want, these are the courses for link. You can just explore for the courses. You can explore, right? So that is the simple thing. And last thing is, this is again our summary of our result, right? So these are all genuine results. This is nothing made up thing. So in 2021 when we started in 2020 actually, but this was our first result. So we have with God's grace and hard work of the student, these are the result of our students. So if 42 student, actually this was 45, so they could get rank with geology and forestry in such short span, right? Then you all can do it, right? So this is general thing, no need to go in detail of it, right? So I think today by evening we will be releasing general geology full unit, right, and even geomorphology. So you can skip geomorphology video lecture, you can just go through the notes maybe, and then from here you should watch each and every lecture, each and every go through, try to go through each and every notes, right? And it should follow for all other units. These two are the most easy units. I know you, most of you are uh, basically burned out with CSE, so you can take a day break, and from tomorrow you can start. I would recommend you start with general geology, because it will be just like general studies only, and then from unit 3 it will get more technical, right? You will more focus would be required. So these are general thing, how to maximize the score in paper 1 about presentation content. This will be part of the course. We will keep talking about it. So this is this like we have the best inspiration in Amitej present with us, and this is the ultimate inspiration I can give you, that in 2018 all India rank one, right? This is the best one can get. He was also from geology plus forestry, and he also prepared for 50-60 days only, right? That time I think around 70 days time was given between CSA and IFS. So even in 2 month time, somebody can get all India rank one. I know him personally. That is why I have shared his thing, and like his marks are mind blowing, 314 in geology. So things like this is also possible, right? If not AIR one, you can get some right something, right? For sure. So it is very much I'll conclude here only it is very much possible. It is very much possible in 50 days, right? Just do whatever Amitej and Lawrence sir and they have shared, right? So I think we will I will close it here, and then if you have some other questions and Amitej is willing to take, please ask. So are there any other questions? There are some questions in chat box. Now, okay. Okay. There are some questions on prelims. Maybe we can take up prelims later. If Amitej could find some time, we can have a different session on prelims, right? IFS prelims.
Yeah,
Now,
like mostly this session is for the upcoming forest mains examination, like in next 50-55 days.
right, like somebody is asking whether you choose IPS or IFS. I think this is a question valid when you are the one of the you are one who has cleared both the examination, and I think just a handful of people in the country can do it every in the year, and Amitesh is just a handful of them. So I think it is a nice dilemma to have. You can skip this answer, or you can answer it, right? Whatever.
So I think this is out of scope for this particular discussion.
All right, all right. Any other doubt, anyone? Okay, so I think we can wind up. Amitej and Lawrence sir, please share your final words. Anything you want to share more?
Yes, yeah, just one thing before sharing final words. So, like, please all get in touch with Mayank sir or myself. Like, I'm in Canada, there is a 12-hour time difference. Now it's like almost midnight here. So, there can be like some delay in my responses. I will take a very brief introductory session. Like, all are welcome to join that. Like, even if you don't enroll in the course, I believe like it'll be a good introduction to geology. Like, for some of you, you may be studying geology for the first time, or like even if you have some experience with geology, just to understand like what each subject means. So that will be super useful. So please do attend that session. Maybe I'll try to schedule it by day after tomorrow. And regarding preparation, my final words would be, as I like have said previously, so I'll repeat the same thing. The most important thing for preparation is you need to be first mentally prepared. Okay, it is a game of mentality, and I am a fan of Liverpool Football Club also. So the previous manager used to say, like the team player, you should be mentality monsters. Okay, So that's what I believe, something that will help you during this 50-hour intense rigorous preparation period. Technical things, like I'll get to those later on, and I will have more suggestions for you all.
Amitej, anything else you want to say?
So the only thing that I can add to here is that just stay humble during the entire preparation. Be someone who is like a receptacle who can gain knowledge from everywhere. Do not go too much into thinking negative thoughts कि preparation सही नहीं हुई है या फिर even at the final exam, even if you feel कि preparation सही नहीं हुई है, even then your marks will be much better than you expect. So just कोई एकदम positive environments में अपने आप को रखिए in the next for the next 2 months, and I think that will be more than sufficient for you to clear this examination.
Okay, so thank you, Amitej. It was a very insightful session, and I'm like really sure that your timeline and your this inspiration will inspire a lot of people to get into this service this year, right? So like, thank you. I'll ping you again whenever I need for the students, right? In terms of doubt, like, thank you for being there, and like again, I congratulate you on your efficiency, like scoring 260 in geology and getting such rank in short time, like speaks volume about your character. And I'm sure like our country will have got a very good officer whichever service you join. So all the very best for your career service, right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having
Amitej,
me.
for coming, and all the very best. Thank you
Thank you,
all.
Lawrence.
Thank you everyone for joining
Thank
the
you,
session.
Lawrence.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir,
Amitej.
Amitej, sir.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you, sir.